What's up folks, it's Fuzzy here, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. We've got another custom tactics video for you guys today. It's going to be taking a look at the 3-5-2 in FIFA 22. It's a very popular formation, it's very meta right now. I tested it over the past week or so, and although I uploaded a video I think last month on them, I've updated the tactics since, so we're going to run through that. There'll be some gameplay that's time stamped down below. If you do enjoy the video, please leave a thumbs up on it, it'd be greatly appreciated. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button. All the support on the channel recently has been brilliant, so thank you for that, and just hit that subscribe button and join me on this content journey. This is the team we're using for it. We want traditional for the three at the back here. You can sometimes use a right back or a left back at a centre back spot, but I decided to try just three straight out centre backs for it, and then went with two, I'll say traditional wing backs in the system as well, and then you can see the rest from there. Three common attackers, a proper defensive midfielder, and then a box to box player. Let's dive into the custom tactics now though. I'll go through them quite quickly for you guys, because that's the main thing, that's what you're here for. You can see the defensive style straight away is we're playing balanced defensive style, but we do have a 75 depth and then the 40 width, and that's mainly just so the centre backs will be a bit closer together and not get penetrated with through balls quite as much. Some people prefer to play this closer to 30, but there are sometimes I find where the closer it is to 30, the closer the centre backs can start to fumble over one another. So I think 40 now is the sweet spot for that. 75 depth, and I've went high on the depth because we're not playing a press. And it might sound weird because sometimes you want to pair the depth with the press, but because we've got such a high depth, it's because we've got three centre backs, and I want everyone to be far up the pitch. I don't want it to be a defensive system. I want this to actually be attacking, but I am aware that if I play a really crazy high press, I will be vulnerable. So we're going for the high depth so that we can try and win the ball back, but we're not being hyper aggressive about it. On the offensive side of things, we're going to have long ball and forward runs. This is very much for the case of I want one of the defensive midfielders to get forward, and I want a lot of involvement from the left mid and right midfielder. Having long ball and forward runs really forces that, because we'll be looking for balls in over the top, and then the forward runs will be trying to get onto those as well. It works really well together. I wouldn't recommend it for every formation, but I think for the 3-5-2 it works absolute wonders, and that's what we've gone with. What about 53 width? Kind of wanted to stay neutral in the middle here because it is quite a balanced system. Obviously you've got wide wing backs, left mid and right mids, and then you do have a sort of like the two defensive midfielders, the cam and the striker. So 50 width is fine for this, you don't need to force it. And then I've went for 5 players in the box, 2 corners, 2 free kicks, because I've just been testing out. Honestly, there wasn't much difference. I normally would run 4 and 1-1. 5-2-2 didn't make too much difference for me. It just means I have that extra player in the box for crosses, really. And that was about it. In regards to formation, how we lined up, it was actually quite self-explanatory. It lines up. The in-game for chemistry beforehand was the 3-4-1-2, mainly because I don't want to do position changes. It stays basically the exact same in the 3-5-2 though. When you look at it, as I say, the back three is all traditional centre backs. We have Brozovic, who's our main defensive midfielder. He is medium work rates, however, not medium high, and that's sometimes preferable, but medium was fine in this case because we've got 3 centre backs. Pellegrini's high attacking, medium defensive. In this position, I think you do want someone who's either high or high attacking, medium defensive, because you want a player who can defend here, but you don't want it to be like another complete defensive stationary midfielder. Like if you had Verratti and Kante playing these 2 roles, you basically just got 5 players behind the ball all the time, and you become a bit one-dimensional. Having someone like Pellegrini or the Kessier SBCs that have come out recently are absolutely brilliant for this spot. And then if you have someone like Brozovic or Tonali or Verratti in this position here, even Kante in your left defensive midfielder spot, that's where you're sweet. The left mid and right mid, I'd say in my case here, I've gone for 2 proper, we'll say, wing backs. Perisic is left midfielder, Ricardo's right midfielder, but they've got high defensive stats. Like they can play the wing back role properly. You can get away with having one of these guys like this and then having someone normal like Fati or Anthony, a player like that on the other side. But I did quite like having 2 all-out wing backs here, Mkhitaryan and Cam, and the 2 forwards. It's kind of self-explanatory. You just pick 3 attackers for this. I'd recommend having at least 1 out-and-out striker. In my case, I've got Martinez. You can go with like Balotelli or Ronaldo or just any out-and-out striker, and then these next 2 spots you can kind of mix with, I'd say, a max of 2 strikers. Self-explanatory. You don't want to force a striker into the cam role, but you could technically play with 2 wingers and have a winger at cam, winger at left striker, and then your beefy striker at right striker. In regards to instructions, we're going to be running default across the board for the centre backs and default for the goalkeeper. You don't want to change anything there. If we look at the centre defensive midfielders, we've gone for man mark and cover centre on Brozovic. We're not going for stay back because I feel, because we've got 3 centre backs, and you'll see how the wing backs are set up at the minute. I keep calling them wing backs. They're left mid and right mid, but essentially they're wing backs is how the system defends, which you'll probably see in the gameplay. I don't want him to stay back because we've got 3 players already. He is medium with high defensive stats. He will cover the space. He's going to be covering the center and marking the men operating in that center. So if they have a cam, for example, it will help to mark, sorry, I should say a central cam because you can't have wide cams. A central cam, he will help to mark those. On the right hand side of things, for Pellegrini, just get forward. This would apply if you have someone like Kessie here. You want these guys to get forward, become a 4th man in that little attacking, the 4th man to the attacking trio ahead of them. And just provides another option for the likes of Karsdorp who's going forward. Speaking of Karsdorp, on this side, you're going to have come back on defense, cut inside, get in behind, and get into box or cross, and it's the exact same on the left-hand side of things. Sometimes they try to keep these a little bit different so there's not as one-dimensional, but in this case, we're going for the exact same. You'll see in gameplay, and I think I've got a specific game to show this, this means when defending, because they're on comeback on defense, it will defend properly like a 5 at the back. What I will say, however, is this will drain the stamina on both your left mid and the right mid because they will be getting in behind and tracking back. So you will need to make 2 substitutions around the 70th minute, and they will need to be a left mid and a right mid. So just be aware of that with this system. If you don't want to have to make 2 changes, only put one of these guys on comeback and then leave the other one on the default setting, and then that means you only have to sub one off and you make changes elsewhere. But just as a heads up for that, that's how it worked the best for me, and that's what I would recommend. I would recommend investing that you have 2 changes there, and you should do it at this point in team of the season. Over in the cam situation, it's stay forward, get into the box, and aggressive interception. That's a standard 3 for me on the cam. So if you so if you're a regular around here, you should be used to this by now, and you should know how good it is if you've tested it. My left striker is the pacey guy who's just on getting behind. The right striker is the stay central, stay forward, and get in behind player. But that's all the tactics. Discuss the personnel. You have a bit of an understanding on that now, so let's jump onto the gameplay now, and we can sort of showcase the pros and the cons, but mostly the pros of this formation because I scored plenty of goals and it was defensively solid. Okay, so I have 5 bits of gameplay in total here. I think 3 games will probably be used. This one here was a 3-0 rage quit, and it sort of helped to show how defensively solid the system was. I have another which will show how good the 3-ball counter opportunities are, which are one of the main goal scoring opportunities you'll get with this system. And then the other one was a 4-0 win against what I could say was a god squad. His squad was really impressive to me. I think those 3 overall will get a really good idea of the system for you. You see, I got a bit lucky with that pass there into Pellegrini. And I'll flip through now and find the goals and the main highlights for you. The defensive solidity in this thing, only a couple of clips will be needed for this because it is kind of the same. Because you've got 3 centre backs and 2 of them are wider, and I've got the pacier guys are wider playing smaller in the middle because he's a bit bigger. It basically just means that it's like 3 players to get behind, and you're going to have your wing backs. Fantastic finish by Karsdorp goal, like, and we can appreciate that. It's just how it works. Now here, defensive solidity, 5 at the back, you can see, although it's a left mid and a right mid, they do drop back into this position, and essentially how it plays is like a 5-2-1-2, but with wing backs who are a little bit further forward and more than they would naturally be, and rather than having 2 centre mid, you've got 2 defensive midfielders. It's kind of how it is. It's very comparable to it, but this does offer you the defensive solidity. They'll track back and get these positions, which means you have less avenues for an opponent to work through, and then it also means that they won't necessarily track these runs like the Karsdorp was managed to dispose at this point in the game. You can see here when trying to attack, obviously I pulled Smolina, who's a central defensive midfielder, and my wide centre back. Sorry, Smalling's not my defensive midfielder. Smalling's my central centre back. But you can see Skriniar, who was one of my wide centre backs, and Chiellini, they then sort of drift into the position. So if I pull Smalling out, who's central, the outer guys will come in and cover. You can see there, that's Perisic with the green boots. Karsdorp here is tracking back as a wing back would to cover the run into the box. And then this is very common when you build out. Because you're on forward runs and long ball, you sometimes need to play it back and around your defense. So you can see how when I've won the ball back with Pellegrini, I could have either pumped it long, and honestly, in hindsight, the central guy here, I could have maybe got a 3-ball through, and I didn't see that. I cut it back, but instantly my options were to pass it back, but I tried for the lucky crossball. This is one of the best examples of the defensive side of things here. You can see, again, Smalley's been pulled out, Karsdorp has already dropped back, and I tried to go aggressive to win the ball back with him here. You can see, this is Brozovic, the 2 centre-backs, Pellegrini, and then Perisic over the far side. And the top 3 kind of stay and do whatever they do. You see, I'm dragging people out here left, right, and centre to try and showcase and sort of how things defend. They still hold this shape. I've essentially got a back 5 here, and I've got another player here, and I can just roam with Pellegrini backwards and forwards, and I managed to win the ball back. And although, yes, that's a lot of players back for me, it's was it 6 players here? 6 players here and then 3 up top, but it means I can go for counter attacks like this. I managed to work some really nice space with Dybala there. The over top ball didn't work perfectly for me, and we almost got through. It was the start of the second half that really, well, we just got really good on the attack here. Give the ball away, as I say that, mind you. But we scored 2 quick goals off kick-off. Perisic tracking back, wins the ball back. He drags the player. Dybala gets through. We'll say this Dybala card is absolutely amazing. With really good fun with him. Went for the near post shot, got that quick finish, and then I think he just tries to run it up the pitch. We go and intercept it. Yeah, he gives it away. Pellegrini managed to win it back off Pele. Smalling, this is very common for the central centre back. Actually, this is good to show. So as again, you've got this bank of 5 all defending. Get the ball away in a weird position here. But Smalling, obviously I've switched to him here, but the game's actually recognised this for me. The AI's picked up that Smalling's in here. And the centre back normally will just stand up and make that interception. But even if he misses it, you've essentially still got your normal back 4 set up. Perisic is here, Karsdorp's there, 2 centre backs. Maybe if you're playing a 50 width with a 4 back, that's kind of how it would look. So you just, it's essentially, what I find is drop between defenders doesn't work that well this year. So when you have a 3 centre back or a 5 centre back set up, essentially you can force it to be like someone who's dropping between the defenders and forcing width in the team. And I'll show the goal for the second throw in here. Obviously, you'll play it up to Martinez, and then a little bit Mkhitaryan, who's been great in the team again. Get it through to Dybala. His pace gets his way, and 4-star weak foot now, so he can finish on his right foot. This is the through ball gameplay. I'm going to find the 3 goals because my main thing is I want to show all 3 goals because I think every single one was through a counter attack. Through ball. This is the start of the first goal. We won the ball back here, and as I say, I've got small and I have to play him out wide. You can go for these big looping balls through. You'll find this quite a bit with both Martinez and Dybala being on getting behind, and sometimes if they're not playing, if they don't have a 3 bank back here, you'll find that your cam will actually have a gap here that you can just play through ball straight up the middle. I go for the R1 through ball just to make it a little bit looping. We play it back to Mkhitaryan, which is a bit of a weird one, and then we got it to Perisic, and thankfully that went in. It was a bit of a weird goal, I'll be honest. As we were just discussing the through balls down the middle of the pitch, this is a perfect example of it here. So obviously he's tried Verratti, who is either stay back or drop between 10. I think he looks like he was on stay back, but this guy's playing a four-man defence. Quite a narrow one at that, but 4-man defence. He's pulled him forward to try and win the ball back, and instantly, as I was saying, your cam gets into this position. I was able to free up some space with Pellegrini, which is something you can do. I do very little here. I barely touch the controller, but it's just, rather than like trying to rush it, I'm giving that extra second for Mkhitaryan to continue his run, and then it means I have that extra yard on these guys, and then Mkhitaryan manages to have a lovely little finish in there. And this will be the final goal. So obviously we lose the ball here, and this is how the team's going to track back. Instantly you can see Perisic is actively running here to try and cover the space. I did pull Karsdorp, but because I've pulled him, one of the wide centre backs goes out to cover this. I can then chase it with Chiellini, and I managed to win the ball back. Again, you've got this triangle of 3. I managed to win the ball back. His fullbacks aren't going forward, so I am still in 3-on-4 situations here. But he doesn't track the one with Martinez, and then boom, 3-0 rage quit. GG's all over. Now, fortunately, I didn't manage to capture this guy's team before we went into the game, but his red picks were absolutely insane. I think he had Leão, Dybala, Modric and Benzema as his red picks, which is just absolutely insane. This is a good example of how the crossing options can work for you in this system. Obviously, we've got into the flow here. Dybala's our left striker. We played it through Brozovic. Workspace for Perisic to get into. He sort of beats Cafu on the run. And boom, if you have, as I'm saying, you want one proper striker for that alone. A tall, powerful striker like Martinez, your Weghorst, Tammy Abraham, players like that, even Benzema, stuff like that. Players who can get up and win the ball for you, just for those crossing options. Smalling was true Smaldini form for me as well while running this system. It was absolutely fantastic. Now, although this goal came from a corner, this is the build-up for it, and it's another example of the crossing opportunity you had. We got through with Mkhitaryan. I did try to play it across. I probably could have just shot, but again, that's the sort of that's the sort of opportunities you can find yourselves in. And then obviously we're playing the 5-2-2 on the corner free kicks. It means we have an extra player in the box when picking the ball up here. Fantastic finish from Mkhitaryan, I'll be honest. He adjusted really well for that. There was a little bit of luck. This is a little build up here. So we've won the ball back, and this is Perisic getting a bit, trying to get forward. I hold the ball with Mkhitaryan again. I'm trying to play it slow purely to give Perisic space here. Pellegrini can ping a really nice through ball. He's dragged this player out, so instantly I know there's some space. I was going to go for a cross, but I managed to go for the drag back, and this is Karsdorp, who's our right midfielder. Because I've got him on cut inside, he comes in and fills this space really nicely, and that's why I've got them both on cut inside for these sort of reasons. I can cut back and finish it in. It just means that he's more closely involved and not just waiting for a cross to come in. Being the idea of what the goals you can concede, though, obviously we're on a 3-on-2 here. Smalling wins the ball back, but he manages to be on a press. He must have been pressed after possession loss on it. He's won the ball back on me here. I drag out Chiellini and completely miss time a tackle. I then win the ball back. Again, give it back. He was quite high on the press here for me. Missed the tackle with Smalling a couple of times. He absolutely did me with basic dribbling there, and it was a nice little chip finish. However, we do just run up the pitch with Dybala, who I absolutely love this card. I'm so happy I packed him. And this was actually weird. He messaged me about this. Look at this, running the pitch with Dybala, he passes back to his keeper. He didn't tell the keeper to leave that. He didn't press R1 or anything. It just rolled in. Really weird, but that's the gameplay, guys. So that's the tactics, the instructions, discuss the personality, you've seen the gameplay as well. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this system. I know the 3-5-2 is very popular right now, and there are some mixed opinions on it and the ways it should be played. I found this to be fantastic. I did my quick run, my speed run through to 11 wins. If you guys don't know, I basically play golden goal in some cases and foot champs to get to 11 wins as quickly as possible. The stress for 14 isn't really worth it, so 11 wins, playing in elite division at the minute, about 1950 or 1900 skill rating, I believe it is. For those that care of those stats to get an idea of the tactics. But let me know what you think about them down below. I've rambled for enough now, so hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below. Like I say, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you next video, guys. Goodbye.